Right, if we are up and running, looks like we are. I'm just gonna tell the whole Discord that we are live and then we'll get going. Hold on a sec. There we go. So, looks like we are good to go. Let me just turn everything and get everything set up nice. Get Pyro's lobby up as well. There we go. Let's go into Pyro's on this one. Hello, Otto. Thanks for joining. Right, so we have quite a few people in. I think we're just waiting for one more already. This is Lobby B, at least for qualifying, for the second round of our second season of the eSports League. My name is Rosom. Please let me know if you can hear everything all right. I am doing Lobby B the whole way through tonight because Vexed, you might remember he was organising a skydive and asked ALR if anyone would like to donate, and actually raised a lot of money through ALR. Him and his buddies in total raised over 10 grand for charity for doing this skydive, and he's currently on his way home from that, so that's why he's unfortunately missing tonight, which I think is a great excuse. I think it's fine if you're going to be raising that much for charity if to miss one night of commentary. So I'm in for Lobby B. So Claus is going to host this lobby for the whole night because I don't trust my internet, basically. And he basically where he qualifies is what lobby this will turn into. So if he's quick enough for Lobby A tonight, this will turn into Lobby A, and I'll be commentating Lobby A with you all on this stream, and Pyro will be commentating Lobby B. If he qualifies for Lobby B, it's just normal, same as last week. Everyone will go into Pyro's lobby if they qualified for Lobby A. Let me just check that my sound's working. Yeah. So, let's go through the teams whilst we are just waiting for the last few people to join. The teams for today are... Hold on, I need to find it first. In this lobby, obviously I'm only going to focus on this lobby. You should all be fully aware of the championship situation. Helix has a fairly decent lead, but didn't actually win the race on Sunday last week, sorry. So we have Team Aero GT. They have, I would say, a slightly stronger team than they did last week. They've got Capale and Owen, who are both Tier 1 drivers, and Dominic, who is the Tier 2 runner-up last season and is in Tier 2 again this season. So 3 really strong drivers who are capable of all qualifying in Lobby A here. Then we've got Kavar, who unfortunately 2 of the drivers didn't score, and one of them, Hollywood, actually finished second in Lobby B last week. They are unfortunately at the bottom of the standings at the moment. They have the same 3 again, so they'll be hoping that they can nail qualifying a bit better and qualify for Lobby A. ESP, who are just above them in the championship, they have the same lineup again, Wesley, Clemson and Otto. All 3 of these also were in Lobby B last week, so they'll be trying to get out of quali and get into Lobby A. We'll have to see how that goes for them. Then we got Team Falcon. We got Kenny, who's new. I think he's in Tier 5 in ALR. We got Reaper back again after his... I think he finished either 12th or 13th last week. I can't remember off the top of my head. So unfortunately, he didn't score points on his run last week. So we'll be trying to do a little bit better this week. And we got Claus, our Tier 3 champion. And like I said, he's the host for tonight. I would say he is the quickest out of those 3 and the best chance of getting some solid points. But I would say last week they had 2 drivers in Lobby A and performed fairly decent in Fatban and Ahmed, who aren't here this week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. Then we've got Pegasus PBR. We've got Chris, GT and Pumpkin Patch again. So again, the same lineup for these for this team. These same three as last week. They all did fairly well in Lobby B, so it's contributed some good points. But yeah, all three drivers missing out on Lobby A, I think, hurt them last week. So aiming for at least 1 or 2 in Lobby A for qualifying, I think, is a fair target for this team today. And is that all 5? I've been through everybody. Platypus V2 are in the other lobby. HXR and FGR are in the other lobby. Yep, so we've been through all of the teams here. Looks like we're still waiting for one person. One of the Cavar guys is missing. So we've got Fluffy Butt. We've got Steve. So we're waiting for Hollywood. Let me just check Discord, see what's going on. Oh, Hollywood's having trouble joining the lobby. Oh dear. Okay. Well, it looks like Lobby A's already started qualifying, so... I think something's going on with these servers, because we had this problem with Kellen last week in Tier 2 as well. He just couldn't join the lobby. Oh dear. I don't know what to do. Oh. He was trying to join Lobby A, but Lobby A is obviously full. Ah, that might be why it's not showing. 1 second, guys. Oh, shit. So the options we have are just to start without him, or if someone else can host. See, this is the problem. I guess part of the reason might be as well that he's on the other side of the world. I don't know if that impacts the strength of the internet. We've got a lot of South Africans in here, but he's based in the Middle East, I think, based on his PSN flag. He's going to restart again. Otherwise, we might have to go without him. What am I doing with the Firebird? We just did an oval race on Saturday in the Firebird around what I can't remember, the really short oval. It was actually really good. Mate impressively quick around the oval. Yeah, it's starting. Well, it's starting. I'm not sure if I could say it's starting well. Oh, Otto, you know you were in that race. I thought it was someone else asking. Yeah, I haven't done much practice for tomorrow, I've got to say. I did some on, I think, Wednesday, and then apart from that, I haven't done much. No, I'm nowhere near the times that these guys did at Road Atlanta last week, but they did have downforce switched on, so I'm hoping that gives you an extra, like, second plus per lap. Otherwise, I'm in a lot of trouble. While we're waiting, let's go through and see who I think are contenders for pole in this lobby at least. Owen, I think, should be the favourite to get the fastest time in this lobby. And then going down the list, Capale as well is another one who's got a good shout at getting pole. Wesley, you can't ever rule him out. Even Claus is an alright outside bet. Potentially Hollywood as well, if he joins, because he was really high up in the race at least. He did a good recovery drive. I think he was 5th in Lobby B for that race. And then out of the Pegasus boys, who do I think is the favourite? I think Chris is probably the quickest over one lap from what we've seen last season and last week as well. RSA pretty good as well. Pumpkin Patch, I'm not sure. Can't remember how he did in previous qualifyings. So yeah, I think every team has a driver that could potentially get pole position, could potentially get in Lobby A as well, even if you don't get pole. Remember, Lobby A, the award for finishing in P15 is 5 points. So if you just manage to set a quick lap and get in Lobby A, that is still a really good contribution towards your team. Meanwhile, the top prize for Lobby B is 12 for winning the race, 10 for P2 and 8 for P3, and then all the way down to P10. So 5 drivers in Lobby B actually don't score any points for the Troubles tonight. But yeah, if the race winner also gets the fastest lap, then that would be 13 points for them. So it's still a good haul. It was interesting to see the standings last week because Project Platypus actually won Lobby B, and he got 12 points, and then the two that competed in Lobby A contributed 11 and 13 points to their team. So all very even, despite competing in different lobbies. I know Perry was disappointed not to get into Lobby A. He felt like he had the time to do it and kind of proved it in the race as well. But yeah, that's what can happen. I think we're going to always see Tier 1 drivers in Lobby B because of how quick eSports is this season. So still waiting, haven't heard anything yet from Hollywood. I'm excited to see how this lobby looks actually, because obviously I jumped across and watched Lobby A with Pyro last week. So it'd be good to see some of these boys in race trim who potentially I might not see in a race this season, if they can't pull that one fantastic lap out the bag. I think it was the top 18 were separated by 1 second last week. 18 out of 30 drivers, so that's really quick, and that means that the top 2 from Lobby B were within a second of pole time from an incredibly quick guy who we all know has set top 10 time trial times. Oh, they've got a substitute. Yes, a substitute can join. Oh, someone's just joined. Who's joined? Oh. Well, if this works, I don't know if it's going to kick him straight out again. If it kicks him out, then it still might not work. But this is better progress than we had before because he wasn't even able to join the lobby and get this far. If it decides to work now, that's absolutely perfect. Oh no, he's been kicked out. Okay, well, that's good that they've actually got a substitute ready to join straight away, because that saves everything. So hopefully, Claus is listening to this stream. So yeah, good news for Kavar. They are actually going to have 3 drivers to field. I'm not sure if the substitutes had much practice, and this will be a new driver to ALR as well, because he's never raced before. With us anyway, so his speed is a huge unknown. And that's the only one I think who will be an unknown in terms of pace in this lobby. So as soon as he joins, Claus is going to get going. Okay, awesome. He is listening. Yeah, Claus. So yeah, as soon as this guy joins, just start quali straight away, because lobby A is going to pretty much. Well, they've got 10 seconds left of their qualifying. Burnsy Poo is going. So we got Fluffy Butt and Burnsy Poo are going to be racing for Kavar tonight. Oh dear. Okay, hopefully this guy's joining pretty quick. I'll just tell the chat as well. When Burns E. Oh god, this is going to be like an predicted word for my PlayStation now. Just giving them a little hurry up. Say's room is full if I want to. Well, the room's definitely not full. It's got 1 space free. It's Claw's lobby, by the way, not Pyro's lobby. If you haven't got Claws or anybody added. Well, you should be able to see it through Fluffy Butt and Steve. Well, if you can't join, by 15, we're just gonna have to start either way. So because we've waited for quite a long time now, we're 15 minutes late. So I'm just gonna put that. Maybe he can join in quali. No, there's no extra people here. Yeah, if he can't join, then we're just gonna have to start quali because we waited for a little bit too long now, to be honest. This is so strange. Yeah, so yeah, he can rejoin. I'll just tell. Join. Well, yeah, he's in the thing. You can join in quali, right? And you might just have to start at the back of the lobby B for the race, but that's better if, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a space there. Okay. Looks like qualifying's about to get started. It looks like qualifying for lobby A has finished. I'll tell you who's on pole. It's Devil. Okay. That's interesting. Right, let's go and spectate. Display driver names. So, out first onto the track, it looks like Reaper Dude has beat everybody out, so Owen's gonna be trying to get past him very quickly, it looks like. I love these outlaps where people are jostling for position. Absolutely no patience at all for some of these guys. So yeah, I think Owen will want to get in front, and Reaper does just let him past, which I think is a good idea. You want to be able to find a little bit of your own space on the lap, and it's not going to happen if a car's right up your backside. Auto pretty close behind Reaper as well. Auto feeling a little bit racy in qualifying here. And whilst they're doing the outlap, I'm going to start putting the times in for these other guys. So JM Devil did a 47.704. That's the time that these guys have to beat. Super GT 2/10 back actually, 47.939. So this is a big reversal in fortune for what do you call it? For FGR. Not as dominant in qualifying anyway. Zico third for Project Platypus. Pretty good lap for him, 48.109. 48.109. Then we've got Javi in P4. Okay, 48.14. And then Vikings in 5th as well. So Zico out qualifying Viking there. Bit of a surprise, but I think these are all going to be safe lobby A's. Then we got Skyline. It's a pretty good qualifying for Skyline, 48.368. And then we got Snipes, 48.392. And then Ruppy, a new guy for FGR, is 8th. So it might be on the bubble. P8 was the bubble last time. It looks like Birdsy Poo's joined, which is great news. Unfortunately, he'll be starting last. So that was that. And then we have Flaze in P9. Flaze is another new driver. Iggy stepped aside for Flaze, and Flaze might be on the bubble. He qualified ahead of Philip, though. Philip in 10th, 454. Then we got Kellen in 11th, the third Project Platypus guy. So all three in the top 11. Slim, ooh, not such a good qualifying for Slim there. 48.712. Ryoki, 13th. He was the 16th quickest qualifier last week. 49.35. That should be lobby B. Same with Ben MK. Bit of a shock to only be in the 49.626. And then the last person was Eroticos. So I think it's safe to say he's definitely in lobby B with a 49.8. So we're looking at basically low 48s, 47s definitely in lobby A. So let's rejoin the man that we've been watching the whole way through. We've got Owen Williams. He is a tier 1 race winner, one of the quickest guys in the league, that's for sure. Improved a lot. He used to be in tier 2, actually won tier 2, and has taken a few seasons, but every season he seems to be improving to basically be approaching the pace of the guys that we call the aliens. He's always been best of the rest. And he's going to round the final corner. Really tricky to get a fantastic exit there, because look how close the barriers are on the exit of that corner. It makes it difficult. But he's going to cross the line with a 48.7, so he needs to find about half a second, I'd say. Reaper and Auto actually drag racing down to the line, so this is going to be slow times for both of them. Reaper with a 50. Auto with a 50, Reaper with a 55. Both of them need to find a lot of pace. Capel with a 49.3, again, has a lot of time to find. Chris, 49.3. Nominic, 49.7. So these times are slower than what we saw in Lobby A. Claus with a 50.3. And Pumpkin Patch, again in the 50s. Wesley with a 49.9. Fluffy Bud with a great qualifying there, 49.1. 3/10 off of what Owen's managed. These guys are going to be going around again. So there is your top 8. Claus, Pumpkin Patch, Wesley, Nominic, Chris, Capel, Fluffy Bud, and Owen. With Clemson setting a 51 and Kenny setting a 53. So great news that Burnsy Poo is going to be joining the race. Unfortunately, he can't have a crack at trying to get into Lobby A. But can you see what kind of stuff he's got for this race? Owen, rounding that corner pretty well, takes the whole width of the track on the exit, and he is purple. He is quicker than his previous best time, but he does have some extra time to find here. he is, unless a lot of people overtake him, I think he is already guaranteed lobby A with this time, 48.7. 48.759 is actually 13th overall, just for reference. Well, the good news is for the lobby A guys, they can maybe do a little bit of practice, maybe go get a drink, psych themselves up for the race. Owen should improve here. He was purple so far. He doesn't. He's just 400ths down. Fluffy Butt, we are going to join next because he is the driver in P2. Claus gets out the way for him, and Wesley is dived into the pits. Otto has improved slightly with 50.7, still not troubling the top 8, and nowhere near quick enough for lobby A at the moment. Oh, Fluffy Butt takes a little bit too much barrier on the exit there. So let's see if that helps him improve. Pumpkin Patch with a 49.8 puts him in 6th. Fluffy doesn't improve. Capel is the guy furthest forward on the track, so let's give him a little bit of attention. Half a second down on Owen. He shouldn't be that far back, so it'll be interesting to see what he does when we cross the next line. Improvement for Clemson, 51 flat, and Kenny with a 53.2. So I'm thinking maybe at 49.3, 49... yeah, 49.7 maybe. 49.7 might be what... no, not 49.7. 49.3 is what these guys should be aiming for at minimum. So I think Fluffy Butt probably has enough here as well to get into lobby A. He is on a 49 flat, which is ahead of Ryoki, Ben MK, and Eroticos at the moment. So unless these drivers can overtake Fluffy Butt's best time, they've all got quite a lot to find here. Let's see if Capel can actually do it. Nissan GTR, pretty good round the corners, not so good in a straight line, I would say, and he doesn't improve as well. What about Chris? Chris is on the bubble. Owen actually improved his time to a 48.6. 48.644 puts him in 12th place for the race. So quite a lot to do for everyone to get into lobby A. Quite a lot of extra time that these guys need to find. Reaper improves to a 50.2. Nominic to a 49.5. Pretty decent time for Nominic. Chris a 48.7. That is fantastic. And that should be enough to put him into lobby. Ooh, actually, he actually needs to find an extra 10th or 2, I'd say. Claus with a 49.8. So Claus outside the top 10. Let's see what's going on a little bit further down. So we've got Kenny 4.6 seconds off the pace at the moment. Clemson 2.3. Reaper 2.1. Otto is 2 seconds off the pace. Kenny improves actually to a 50.6 there. So that's up to 11th, pretty decent. Wesley has loads of time to find still. I don't know what's happened to Wesley. He's got some fresh tyres though. It looks like he went into the pits. So this might be his, well, he's got 2. Oh, he's backed out already. So not going good for Wesley. Let's see who's approaching the pit lane first. It looks like it's going to be Capel to complete another lap. So he is just going hell for leather, not coming into the pits like a lot of other drivers did, and still trying to improve on that 49.2, I think it is, for Capel. So he's gonna cross the line. Is this gonna be an improvement? He couldn't improve last time, and he can't improve this time. He sets nearly identical time. Owen's coming across the line again, 2 tenths off this time. Then we've got, where is it? There we go. Reaper is going to be the next person. He's at the head of a 3-car train with Nominic and Chris just behind. So Reaper's got a lot of time to find here. Is he going to improve on 13? Not yet. And Nominic doesn't improve either. Does Chris? Chris doesn't improve either. The next one to cross the line is Pumpkin Patch, who does improve at 49.6. Good lap there from Pumpkin Patch, continuing to improve on quite worn tyres now. Claus couldn't improve. Otto's going to be the next person to cross. He's down in 12th at the moment, and he didn't improve again. Next person to cross is, well, it's going to be someone just before RSA, but they didn't improve. RSA's Really trying to improve on that P6. This is his final lap already. He goes up to P4 with a 49.3. That is a good time. It is putting him in the mix. It puts him ahead of Ryoki as well. So Ryoki definitely in Lobby B along with Ben and Eroticos. Let's find the next person. Where is he? It's Capale again. So Capale on his final lap. He's been setting pretty identical times the whole way through. Not been able to beat 49.3 yet though. He needs to get it into maybe the 49.2s or 1s in order to be in Lobby A. He's 1,000th of a second slower than RSA, which is heartbreaking. That is such a small difference in time. Looks like he was a little bit wide out of that final corner, lost a bit of traction on the exit, which is going to affect his run down to this checkered flag. Is it going to be an improvement? He goes up to second, just a 10th off. That is Lobby A for Capale, 48.7. Great final lap from Capale. Now, Nominic, is he going to be able to make it an Aero 1, 2, 3 in this lobby? He's down in 7th at the moment, 9/10 off. He could definitely do a lot quicker than that. We know Nominic is a very quick guy, even around here. He did very well in the Race of Champions just a few weeks ago, and this is not an improvement. What about Chris? Chris doesn't improve, he stays 3rd. Pumpkin Patch stays P8. Claus is going to be the next one. He's all the way down in 9th, 1.2 seconds off. He could do so much better than that, and he fails to do so. And now we've got Otto, the last person to come to the finish line. Is he going to do it? Up into P8 for Otto. Great result for him. 49.5 that is. It's going to be Lobby B, I reckon, but that's going to be quite high in Lobby B. So you'll just have to bear with me, because I'm going to have to pop all these onto a little quick spreadsheet and tell everyone where they need to go. Capale, 48.744. Nominic, 49.578. Fluffy Butt dropped to 4th in the end with a 49.118. And where's the other Cavar? Cavar Steve is 49.481. Hollywood has been replaced by Burnsy Poo. Gonna have fun commentating that for the whole race. Autorati on 49.588. Clemson is going to be towards the back, isn't he? He's unfortunately 14th, 51.02, the only one in the 51s. Wesley down in 11th. Kenny was 12th in the end. Improved a lot. He set some pretty slow laps, but actually pulled a decent lap out the bag there. Claus 49.892, and then we got Reaper 50.772. Now, Pumpkin Patch 49.654. Then we got RSA in the top 5, 49.317, and Chris in the top 3, 48.759. So Chris definitely in Lobby A. Here we go. That's not correct. Hold on. Heavy 48. Okay, let's try this again. Ah, so the cutoff was Chris and Fluffy Butt. Chris is P15 and Fluffy Butt starts on pole. So let me just put these into a grid. And yeah, Fluffy Butt on pole ahead of RSA. And then it's Ryoki and Steve in the top 4 for Lobby B. Claus is gladly hosting Lobby B as well, because he has qualified 9th in Lobby B. So let me just share this super quick, and then we have to do the shuffle. Everyone going from one lobby to another. Claus has changed the room settings. Okay, that's fine. If he's changed them, let me just have a quick look and see that everything's alright. Equal conditions road is off. Grid order set by host, and Claus is going to be able to start setting that, and we can get going fairly quickly. So, just to recap, pole position overall, JM Devil. Then it's Super GT, Zico, Javi, Viking, Skyline, Snipes, Ruppy, Philip, and Kellen in the top 10. Flaze is 11th. And then we have our first Lobby B driver, Owen, in 12th. Then it's Slim, and then it's Capale and Chris. So only 3 Lobby B drivers got into Lobby A. Then we've got Fluffy Butt in 11th, in P1 for Lobby B, followed by RSA, Ryoki, and then Steve. So 2 Cavar drivers really high up in Lobby B, and then the third one, unfortunately, could only join in the qualifying, but at least he joined. And then we got Ben MK down in P7, qualifying behind Eroticos and Nominic. Pumpkin Patch 8th, Claus 9th, Wesley 10th, Eroticos 11th, Kenny 12th, Reaper, Clemson, and Burnsy Poo round out the grid for today. Shouldn't Flaze be higher, should he? I don't think so. Flaze 48.488. 41.448. Ah. Yes. Flaze should be ahead of Philip and Kellen. Let me just set that out quickly. Oops. What happens in a tie? We have to figure out who set the time first. If it's a tie between a driver from one lobby or the other. Okay, that's sorted. So now we just have to wait for the last driver to join. Now Ryoki is saying the room is full. So we might have a little delay trying to get Ryoki in the lobby. Okay, here we go again. Oish. RSA needs to enter. Well, these guys can have a little bit of practice in the meantime in race conditions. Pumpkin Patch asking Ben MK why he's here. Well, messed up qualifying, didn't he? Come on. The thing is, I know like Claw's internet is very good, so it's a bit weird that this is happening. It didn't happen last week. It doesn't happen. It's weird how it happens because I don't think the internet connection actually matters too much for the host. I think it's the person joining. Auto's torn between 2 strats. There is, yeah, so let's talk strategy. So the 1-stop was attempted a few times last week, varying degrees of success compared to the 2-stop. one stop's possible. Some cars have to fuel save, so I guess it depends on if you can fuel save or not with the car that you've chosen. Also, the strategies on when you decide to use your medium and when you decide to use your soft is a big one. You start on half fuel. Let's just check that the setting should say half fuel actually. Initial fuel 50 liters, yeah. No chance. Oh man. Sorry mate, but we might just have to start without you. Maybe we'll, Claus, if you're listening, maybe we'll give it to 40. That gives him 3 and a bit minutes to try. And if not, we'll have to start. Yeah, the Pegasus boys did well there. Chris is in lobby A, so you've only got 2 in this lobby. So that could be a big blow to FGR at this stage in the season if Ryoki can't join for the race. If he can't, that's really unfortunate. We'll be back to our normal host next week, which seemed to work all right, even if the lobby was very slightly laggy. I'm not sure if that was down to the host or down to the drivers, though, to be honest. Or just down to PD. I think the servers have been struggling. They struggled on Monday as well, on multiple lobbies. One lobby crashed, actually, and the host had to change completely. We had people disconnect. There was some issue in India where every Indian driver disconnected at the same time. I don't know if he can actually save the replay if you join at the very end, but we'll see. I don't know. I've never tried, to be honest. Looks like Super GT's taken an early lead in Lobby A, and Ruppy is currently last, unfortunately for him. Okay, we've got 1 more minute. Otherwise, we're going to have to go without Ryoki. It happens sometimes. Stewards are going to be busy with Lobby A. Okay. Well, okay. It does look very close. Slim's already up into P6, actually. So... yeah, it's 40, so Claus, if you want to click starting soon, I think we're just going to have to. Unlucky Ryoki. So yeah, what is the status of this race for those that have just joined? So if you just joined, we're about to start the race for Lobby B. This lobby is for the drivers who set the slowest 15 times in qualifying. They are still in the running for some really decent points, top 10 score points. 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 8, 10, and 12 for the podium finishers, with a point for fastest laps up for grabs as well. So this is a 10-team race, and every team enters 3 drivers. They have to be in the top 5 after round 6 to qualify for the final 2 rounds, which are worth double points in basically what is a shoot-off for the championship. We're going to start soon, though. Fluffy Butt on pole, had a torrid time last week, so I'm interested to see what he can do this time. I think he was 4 laps down, so didn't have much fun at Road Atlanta, but clearly has some really good pace in that 4C as well. Interesting that he's in the 4C and managed to nearly get into Lobby A with that. Okay, here we go. Fluffy Butt. It's a South African 1-2-3. Fluffy Butt, RSA, and Steve in Lobby B. We're just waiting for the lights to start showing up on your screen at the top there. There we go. 1 light, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're off around round 2. Pretty bad start there from RSA. Really good start from Fluffy Butt in that Alpha. Looks like he's got a comfortable lead heading down into turn 1 of 7 tenths already. It might be 2 or 3 wide into turn 1. It looks like RSA's managed to hold off. Auto's managed to get past Steve with that really quick starting Renault. So great start for Auto, up into 3rd and has a chance to control the race. Steve close behind. Ben MK, good start in P5 for Arix. Then there's Nominic up into 6th and Pumpkin Patch is in 7th. So everyone really close as we head into turn 2 now. Oh, looks like Ben and Nominic have spun. Oh dear. And ghosting's off, so I hope that people can avoid them. Wesley's obviously had a miserable start. All these drivers outside the top 10. Burnsy Poo already up into 11th as everyone's super close as we're heading through the first tunnel of the track. Everyone is pretty much side by side here. Let's join on board with Pumpkin Patch, who is trying to chase down Eroticos and Claws, and Reaper, who's all the way up into P6. That's an absolutely fantastic start for Reaper on those soft tyres, up into 6th place and challenging Eroticos, who has had a pretty decent start himself. A little bit further up, got Auto just fending off Steve. These guys were at the head of a huge train, so there's definitely been a lot of carnage here. Reaper trying to get around Eroticos. Both of them take the corner pretty slow. That's allowed Claws to get through. He's going to give Reaper a little bump there to help him through, and now he's challenging Eroticos around the outside of this really tight downhill corner. They managed to keep it pointing the right way, and Claus actually gets that position. It's a really good start for Falcon. P5 and P6 for these two. Both of them on soft tyres. Cavar Steve challenging Eroticos into the chicane. He manages to hit the apex and get that position really nicely on those softs. Auto is on mediums, so the fact that he's this high up is really decent for him. Meanwhile, right at the front, Fluffy Butt has a second lead as we head into round 2. He's also on the softs, as is RSA. Auto is putting a bit of pressure on Steve, decides to go for the bump draft instead, doesn't want to try and overtake him at the moment. Probably wise because Steve is on the soft tyres here. So Eroticos, also Ration, sorry, down to 5th. Reaper is still in 5th, but Claus is pretty close behind. I'm wondering if team orders will come in and Reaper will release Claus. But at the moment, it is as you were. That's not a very good camera angle in the dark, so let's join this as we look at this 4-car train that Reaper's heading up. Going very wide there. Claus is probably going to get this position, but Reaper has to make sure Eroticos doesn't slide on through as well. Reaper's going to actually keep the position with a really solid exit compared to Claus, and Eroticos is in a prime position here to capitalize on the slipstream. And yeah, Eroticos is going for it. Claus is going to try and bump draft Reaper, but it doesn't really work. Pumpkin Patch really close behind. Claus has decided to absolutely go for it, has sent it. It's gone very wide on the exit. Eroticos might have a chance to get him and Reaper, and he does, but he loses loads of traction. That allows Reaper to get back through and keep P5. Pumpkin Patch is going to take 2 positions at once here. If Eroticos can hold it around the outside, he is still alongside going into the next corner, which does favour him. Really close driving. Claus is going to try and get through against Pumpkin Patch as well. Some good opportunities from Claus to try and recover a position. Let's go up to the front and see what's going on. RSA has caught 4 tenths on Fluffy Butt on that lap. 49.9 is the fastest lap so far. Oh, really good turn one there from RSA. Closed the gap massively, just to 2/10 now. He's got a chance of taking the race lead here if he's feeling brave. Fluffy Butt left the door open and shut it. And he's going to have to tuck behind him for now, but he might get an opportunity through the tunnel. Good exit there from Fluffy, but he's starting to build a bit of a lead, and we know that the Alpha does like the straight lines. He's got some good top end. So does the GR Supra behind him though, and it is closing incredibly quickly. So Steve's managed to get past Autoration, which we did see. Reaper is getting challenged from Eroticos. Eroticos is going to send it down the inside. There's a little bit of contact, but not too much to write home about. Eroticos gets the position pretty decently there. Pumpkin Patch has got past Claws again, so that GR Supra doing its job. Then rounding out the top 10, Ben has just settled into P9, also on the softs. Oh, nearly into the wall, and Wesley into 10th. We've got Clemson on the softs with Dominic also on the softs. Everyone deciding to go soft here apart from Auto Ration. And it's actually going to help Auto here. Dominic on a recovery drive again, so he was in the wars on lap 1 of both of the races in eSports so far. Burnsy's drops down to 13th, so that might be him still learning the track potentially. And then Kenny has dropped back as well, so he's been in the wars. Meanwhile, let's rejoin the battle for P1 because Fluffy Butt is very close. Well, just the lead is very slender for him. He can't put a foot wrong because RSA looks on fire so far today. And yeah, neither of these two obviously have had a win in ALR yet, so this is a good opportunity for them to get on the scoreboard for sure. Fluffy's had a good opening part to the lap. He stretched the lead by 3/10 there. So let's see what's happening a little bit further down. Steve is dropping Auto. Auto's on the mediums though. So this is going to be an interesting strat from Auto, and see what he can do when everyone else is on mediums, because he's holding his own so far. He's got quite a good lead on Eroticos. Eroticos is going to start closing him down on those soft tyres now. Reaper's just ahead of Pumpkin Patch and Claws. They've all got a bit of a gap. Ben is going to join this group, and Wesley's not too far off either. Then we still got Clemson and Nominic fighting for position. Nominic going for a move on the inside. Clemson closes the door. Nominic's got just join and tuck in inside behind Clemson, sorry. So yeah, Nominic has to get past him very quickly or else his strategy is done for. Burnsy is catching them up again. So Claws really close to the back of Pumpkin Patch now, putting a lot of pressure on him. He's thinking about chucking it down the inside into the hairpin. And Pumpkin Patch keeps the position now, but this is a good overtaking zone. It all depends if they get a good exit here. Let's ride on board with Claws and see what he can do. He's not going to come under any pressure from Ben, but Reaper's actually dropping these guys at the moment. It looks like Wesley's got a position off somebody. I can't see, something's going on. It's like Nominic got past Clemson, that's what it was. Anyway, Claws very close to Pumpkin Patch. He could absolutely send it. He does go for it, and yeah, Pumpkin gets nudged out of the way slightly there, but Claws gets up into P7. That's vital, and now Pumpkin Patch is going to try and return the favour, and leaves enough space. Some really good racing between these two. It's allowing Ben to come into the mix as well. Oh, now let's see what happens on the run through the tunnel with these guys. Ben getting a fairly decent exit, but Pumpkin Patch in that GR Supra should be able to catch Claws. Claws going defensive very, very early on. And they are dropping Ben a little bit as well, so Pumpkin's going to have to try and do it around the outside, which is very difficult to do. A little bit ahead, Eroticos is trying to get an overtake done on Auto as well, which it looks like Eroticos has done, but Claws has kept the position, and Ben really fancying a go at Pumpkin as well. Oh, oh dear. I knew that, yeah, he was just a little bit too close there. Now he's gonna give Pumpkin a little bit of a push. No, actually, he's gonna actually go for the overtake. I don't know about that one, but I think he might struggle to keep the position because Pumpkin loses a bit of traction, and now it looks like Ben's got that position. That's a bit of a questionable one, I have to admit. Wesley is right behind as well, so we've got a three-way fight for the lower reaches of the top 10 at this stage. Pumpkin's going to go for it. You can't go too wide into turn one, and he backs out of it. Really good decision to back out of it, but unfortunately going a little bit backwards at the moment for Pumpkin. Wesley thinks better of it. Let's see what's happening a bit further up. Eroticos with a 2.5 penalty. He didn't overtake Otto. He actually overtook Reaper. But he's going to get overtaken again. That is a disaster. That's what can happen when you cut turn 1 or turn 2, which is very easy to do because you have to take them at such a high speed and basically jump over the curbs in order to do so. But he's not going to hit the penalty line for a little bit, but Ben is now defending for his life against Pumpkin. Pumpkin's got the car with the better straight line speed. He goes for the bump draft instead. He's thinking that he doesn't want to continue losing time to the cars in front by trying overtakes, which is a clever move at this stage of the race. Ben very wide anyway, so Pumpkin might actually get the position. Ben holds him off, but this is costing them time again. Wesley right on the back of them as well. Dominic 4 seconds back, so that's what his target's basically, to start getting into the 40s, because he's not set a time quicker than a 50.3 yet. Really good exit there from Wesley. He's going to have a chance if he fancies it. No, he can't get close enough. Meanwhile, I beg your pardon, I've completely missed an overtake for the lead. That must have happened a couple of laps ago, because on lap 5, Fluffybutt set a 51.1 and yeah, has started to lose a little bit of time to RSA. His car might be struggling a little bit with traction. But yeah, great for RSA. I think this is the first time he's ever led a race in ALR. Same for Fluffybutt for those opening laps as well. So really solid job so far for Pegasus. We've got one driver in lobby A, so if he can score well and Pegasus and RSA can get this win and Pumpkin can recover to at least the top 8, they could really make some progress up the standings. I expect to see Kavar progress up the standings as well, with 2nd and 3rd at the moment. Pretty solid, even if Kavar's falling, if Fluffybutt's falling back a little bit. Steve just all on his own. He's got basically 5 seconds ahead and behind at the moment. Then there's Otto, who's been caught by Reaper, so Reaper's got a 2.5 penalty. Erotico's dropped all the way down to 7th with his. Reaper's gonna drop at least behind Claus with his penalty as well, so that's hugely unfortunate for him. He had a much better start than he did last week, that's for sure. Looks like he's gonna let Claus through anyway, and yeah, that's gonna drop him really far back actually, because Erotico's is caught up quite nicely. Then we got this trio of cars that he might drop behind as well, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with Reaper as he approaches the slowdown line. Sorry for missing that fight for the lead, that's a bit frustrating. But anyway, let's see what happens with Reaper here with this 2.5 penalty. He's slowing down right now. He's got Eroticos, who's got past comfortably. Now he's got Ben is going to get him. Wesley, he might actually keep the position in front of Wesley. He's going to tuck in front of him and take the corner. Wesley is not actually close enough. So Reaper only drops 2, well 3 really, because he was ahead of Claus as well on that lap. Oh, really wide there from Wesley, gets that corner all wrong, and he's not going to be challenging Reaper with some slightly dirty tyres for the next few corners. Pumpkin Patch, though, might be able to have a go at him. Yeah, we got a South Africa 1-2. Oh, unfortunate there. Oh, and Wesley hits the wall. So this is going to present a great opportunity for Pumpkin Patch, even though he made a mistake on the corner itself. Wesley made a huge mistake on the exit, just taking way too much speed and hitting the wall. That's quite a straightforward overtake for Pumpkin Patch, up to P9. Good overtake for him. Meanwhile, a little bit further forward, Claus has caught up to Auto. Auto, remember, is on the mediums. So if he can halt some of the progress for Claus, that is going to help his team massively. Claus on Team Falcon and Auto is on Panthera ESP. So we're heading down to finish lap 8 of 38, by the way. So still a long way to go. We're not at the pit window yet. I think we've got a good maybe 3-4 laps before we see the first car pit. Oh, a little bit of traction loss there from Claus. This is Germany versus Austria for P4. Very international league. We've got drivers from all over the world who race in GT. And I think the tyres might be starting to come to Auto. Claus is the second driver I've seen go off there. Wesley did it a lap ago. So they are not able to take as much speed as they were at the start of the race. The tyres are definitely starting to fail Claus a little bit here. Auto's just, starting to gap him now. And Erotico's actually closing the gap. But we just saw him hit the outside wall there on the exit, taking too much speed in his BMW. Wall collision penalty isn't on. We don't have wall collision penalties because they're mental, to be honest. They are absolutely crazy. So Ben, meanwhile, is in P7. Reaper's still in 8th. Ben is catching Eroticos pretty well here, coming out of the tunnel. So let's see if we can get any overtakes done. Eroticos, the tyres, look at his tyres. They're much worse than what Claus's were, actually. So that is why he's fallen into the clutches of Ben, who's, his worst tyre is better, and Ben should have the pace on Eroticos as well. Ben is a tier 1 driver, Eroticos is in tier 3 for reference. So really good performance, it's got to be said, from Eroticos so far, to be well in the points in Lobby B today. This is his first race of the season. Pushed through the chicane, it looks like, by Ben. Reaper's really close behind as well. Oh, Ben loses a bit of traction again out the exit. It doesn't seem to have cost him too much time. He's now deep in the slipstream, but I think he's still going to be too far back to have a go at Eroticos into turn 1. Really tricky one to, he backs out way before turn 1. Takes the corner much better than Eroticos though, and now Eroticos is acting as a bit of a roadblock for him, as he's still out of shape through these corners. Now Ben's going to chuck it in. Whoa, that is some interesting lag on Ben's behalf, but he's in the wall. I don't know if they made contact on his screen, but that is strange. He doesn't have any damage at least. And Reaper, to be honest, that's weird because Ben, he is a tiny bit laggy, but that was something a bit dramatic that we saw before he ended up in that wall. So yeah, he's dropped a bit of time to Eroticos. Reaper hasn't really been able to capitalise on it, and Claus is starting to reel in Auto again. He's got red tyres at the moment. He over-revved as well and revved out in 5th gear. You have to. The thing is with the McLaren, it's a game of chicken in 5th gear. You get all the performance, much better performance than the vast majority of cars at the top end of 5th. But if you rev too hard and then you go into 6th, you just lose so much. So you have to be really at 1. By the way, RSA is the first man into the pit. He's got 8% fuel left, so he could have gone a bit longer. He's decided to potentially risk coming out in some traffic here. By pitting a lap earlier than everyone else. Looks like Ben, MK and Reaper Dude have followed him into the pits. Nominic has carried on. Burnsy Poo is also carrying on quite far way down, and Clemson and Kenny and Pumpkin Patch actually was the first one into the pits. So we missed Pumpkin Patch coming into the pits. Let's follow on with him because he could be on course for overtaking a few drivers with a nice little undercut here. He's on softs as well when everyone else was on worn mediums. Kenny in the pits with 1% left. So he's 43 seconds off the lead of Fluffy Butt at the moment is Pumpkin Patch. Fluffy Butt not really putting a foot wrong so far. He did lose the lead, but he has put in a much better showing than he did in round one, that's for sure. So it's like Pumpkin Patch is going to be ahead of Reaper Dude and Kenny, behind Ben. So Pumpkin has under 50% of the fuel left. Ben has put in over 50%. Reaper's put in over 75% of the fuel. That's why he's dropped so far back and made it easy for Pumpkin to actually get him. Pumpkin, with lower fuel, should be able to chase down Ben a little bit here, especially on the straights. And these guys all opting for the softs. Reaper's on the mediums, actually. So he's gone softs first, mediums second. So this is going to be a long stint on the mediums for Reaper, and then he's going to probably have to try a few overtakes on the final stint. Kenny's also come out on the mediums. Well, Fluffy Butt extended his lead over Steve to 5.8 seconds now. It was 4.8 the last time we joined him. He's come into the pits now as well. What about Cav? Cav is going to carry on for another lap. He feels all right on these soft tyres. He wants to minimise the amount of time that he has to spend on the mediums as well. Otto in the pits with 0% left. Wow. I wonder if he made it back in time. Fluffy Butt also with 0, but we know that he did because we joined him. Looks like Wesley's also carried on. So these guys going incredibly long on these softs. Nominic also carrying on. He's going to try and overcut on some of these drivers. So let's see where Fluffy Butt comes out in comparison to RSA. Looks like he's putting a lot of fuel in. RSA didn't put a lot of fuel in, it's got to be said. Fluffy Butt's putting in far more fuel, so RSA has a comfortable lead over him as it stands, but Fluffy Butt's not going to have to put in much for the rest of the race, and I wonder, he's put on mediums. Is he going to try and do the rest of the race on these medium tyres? Is he trying the one-stop? Absolutely could do it with the fuel. Absolutely could do it with the tyres, I reckon. They'll be crying at the end though, and yeah, it looks like the strategies have diverged between the top two. Very, very interesting. The other alternative is he's doing quick one-stop just for the tyre change and to bolt on the soft, but to be honest, I was thinking about this during the week, and you do lose a lot of time in the pits. You also skip the final chicane, which does save a bit of time, but yeah, like, unless you've got a real pace advantage for a long period of time over the cars that one stop, you're not going to catch them. So this is going to be fascinating. Fluffy Butt down in P7 should get caught very quickly by Ben here. And then we've got RSA with, oh, he's only 15 seconds off lead. Steve finally comes into the pits with 1% left. Let's see, Wesley's coming in as well. He does have enough fuel left, as does Nominic. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys come out. Really good for making the fuel last that long. Very impressive stuff. So RSA is going to be the race leader once again. He's going to have an 8.4 second lead over Burnsy Poo. Actually, he's not, because Burnsy Poo and Clemson are going to come into the pits. So he's got a 16 second lead over Cav, Fluffy Butt, for the lead of the race. But he is going to have to stop again, and Fluffy Butt might not need to. Fluffy Butt getting chased down pretty quickly here by Ben on the soft tyres and the lower fuel. So Ben really has to make quick work of Fluffy Butt to make this strategy work for him, because he's going to have to basically get a pit stop on Fluffy Butt between now and the end of the race. Fluffy Butt's deciding not really to challenge it into turn one. Ben gets the position as his car jumped across the screen with the slow frame rate. But yeah, nothing to write home about. Ben can focus now on trying to get double-digit points really for Team Arix and redeem his qualifying. Then we got Pumpkin Patch with very low fuel in P4, so he's going to chase down Fluffy Butt fairly quickly and try to help out his teammate RSA in the pursuit for P1. The fuel at the very start of the race was 50 litres, which is half a tank. And then obviously the max fuel is, I guess, 100 by by doing some simple maths. So yeah, it's pretty wide there through the corner from Pumpkin Patch. I feel like he could have closed the gap on Fluffy, but a little bit more there. Really tricky corner, this one. Downhill, you've got to straighten the car up to be able to brake effectively, which is quite difficult to do going over that crest. And yeah, you can see Fluffy Butt's really dropping off the back of Ben. Ben's managed to gap him by 1.3 seconds. And it looks like he's got a 16.8 second gap to try and close in on RSA. RSA with slightly less fuel. Oh, every time Ben exits that corner, it looks like he hits the wall, but I'm not sure if he actually does. Because he got a better exit than Fluffy Butt. Actually, not that significantly better, though. Pumpkin Patch now only 0.3 behind Fluffy Butt, so let's stick with these guys for a little bit and see what happens between these two. Fluffy Butt having to take these corners much more carefully than Pumpkin Patch. Oh, Ben's in the wall! Ben has absolutely lost it in turn 2. And ended up in the wall. He's down to 8. Oh, no, he's still in second. What the hell is going on? Ben, sort out your internet, mate, for next week. Okay, Ben's still in second. Ignore everything that I just said. Fluffy Butt is in P3 and Pumpkin in P4. Very close between those two. Just a quick update on Lobby A. JM Devil has the lead over Super GT and Zico's in third, which is exactly what qualifying was as well. Javi fighting for P14 at the moment. So, Pumpkin Patch going round the outside on those soft tyres. Fluffy Butt brakes a lot later, manages to hit the corner, but is taking a much slower corner speed than Pumpkin Patch. Pumpkin Patch gets the move done round the outside. Pretty impressive stuff there from Pumpkin Patch. And, oh, got a little bump at the worst time. Managed to stop it and take the apex beautifully though, and now he's just gonna start to drive away from Fluffy Butt. Auto on the softs, by the way. He's done his medium stint and now he can just focus on moving forward. Some of these guys have done 2 sets of softs. The top 3 have all done 2 sets of softs. So Auto has the strategy advantage for the rest of the race, but he's got a 20-second gap to P1. He put quite a lot of fuel in the pit stop, so he's going to be able to put in less fuel towards the end. Bit of a messy exit there from the corner. Fluffy Butt's still fairly close to Pumpkin. If he can keep in his slipstream for a lap or 2, that is going to help massively with his times towards the end of the race. Yeah, quite some bad luck from Ben. Let's let's not get excited if we see him in the wall again like that, because it made me look like a bit of a fool. Pumpkin Patch really wide on the exit, had to bail out of the throttle there, so allowing Fluffy to close back in once again. Still hasn't managed to gap Fluffy by a full second just yet. Is going quicker than he's managed before. 49 is his best lap so far, 49.6. Can beat that. I'm fairly confident Pumpkin can do better than that. Having a really decent feature race are the Pegasus boys so far. See, is anything going on a little bit further down? Wesley on his mediums up in a P7. So Wesley's one of the winners out of the pit stop. Steve is one of the losers, but look how much fuel he's got. He might be doing the one stop as well, just like his teammate a little bit further up. So that seems to be the strategy Cavar are doing. A one stop and hoping for the best, I suppose. Steve was in a good position though. Nominic is closer behind him. Nominic looks like he's going to have to 2-stop for sure. They're both on the same tyres as well. Then a little bit further down, Reaper, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be enough fuel to get him to the end, so he's going to have to stop again. Clemson is struggling down in P13 and Kenny down in P14. Just over a minute behind RSA. Let's have a quick look at RSA as he goes under the tunnel. Nice little shot of the Pegasus livery there. All of them in GR Supras today. So I guess the GR is pretty good round here, on these settings at least. Lobby B is dark. Yeah, I did notice that Lobby B had 0 times time progression, so it's always gonna be like that. But we can live with that. Yeah, Fluffy Butt is now 1.5 seconds down on Pumpkin Patch, and that is... Let's see how Pumpkin Patch is doing time-wise. At 50.4 that previous lap, 52 flat for Ben. Ben had a horrendous lap, lag or not, that time round. So yeah, Pumpkin's not too far away from the possibility of winning this race. Fluffy Butt's still 20 seconds behind, so that would be enough for him to take the race lead when these guys end up coming in for their second stops. He basically just has to not put a foot wrong for the rest of the race in order to give himself the best shot at winning. If it's not going to be enough to win, I'm pretty sure with how close Ben and Pumpkin Patch are right now, it should be enough for P2 as long as he doesn't have any hairy moments. Auto catching up to him as well could start causing him in issues. Less than 2 seconds is the gap now. The tyres on the soft tap cars are starting to wear a little bit. At 51.3, not the best of laps for Auto. Managed to go full throttle though through there, which is what you need to do. Still not really closing the gap on Fluffy Butt. Fluffy Butt driving very well at this stage of the race. I think it can be safely said. This is really where this part of the track, the soft tyres, should benefit Auto. He's managed to catch up half a second through that sector. And now we'll see the Renault struggle down the straight. It is very, very good car, it's got to be said, since the physics update, but it is not good in a straight line. He's actually still closing in on Fluffy. Fluffy's got heavier fuel, so that might be helping Auto. Also, the way that he's done his Aero could be helping him as well compared to Fluffy. Yeah, Fluffy's dropped another 2 seconds on RSA over the last couple of laps, so RSA absolutely flying at the moment. Let's see what's happening a bit further back. Wesley still tucked up behind Claus. It looks like he's been like that for a while. Both of them on the medium, so potentially Wesley having a bit more comfort on the mediums compared to Claus. Some of these cars do perform better on medium tyres compared to others as well, which is something not a lot of people realise. It's not a like for like when you downgrade from a soft to a medium. Looks like Claus is letting Wesley through there, so I don't know if there's been a little incident between them two and Claus has decided to give the position back. They're not on the same team. Ooh. Good driving. Dominic recovering, he's up into 8th now. He's got a good opportunity for getting a few more positions because he's getting rid of his mediums as well in this stint. He has got past Steve with a lot more fuel than Dominic, so it was probably fairly easy for Dominic to get a good exit out of one of these corners. But yeah, it's still looking good for Steve. He's only 32 seconds off the lead as it stands. So I think when P2 down pit, they will come out behind Steve, because we're going to start seeing the medium tyres come into their own compared to the softs at this stage. And he could start to actually reduce that 32 a little bit. A little bit further down, Erotico's down in P10 at the moment. I think he's going to have to pit again, but he did put in a lot of fuel on that second stint, so he could jump some drivers in the pits with less fuel needed, unless that is just the thirsty BMW needing a lot more than the other cars. Burnsy Poo, solid drive in P11 at the moment. Again, another driver who I don't think is going to have to pit again, so this could help him out. He is a long way off P10 though, 10 seconds. Eroticos would come out behind him if the pit stops happen now. We've got a little bit more time before the final stops though. I think Dominic has the lowest fuel here, so he's going to do a bit of a longer, potentially an undercut on some of these drivers into the final stint. He should be a lot higher up, to be fair. If you knock 10 seconds off his time, he would be fighting for P4 at the moment, which is potentially what he lost at the start of that race with that incident. Well, I'm sure it'll be in the steward's room. Also having a little bit of trouble chasing down Fluffy Butt still. Fluffy Butt 1.2 seconds ahead at the moment. So it's starting to look fairly comfortable for Fluffy Butt. Fluffy Butt has been lapping in the 51s, in the low 51s as well for the last 4 laps in a row. It's very impressive and consistent driving from this driver, who's had to be a little bit of a moving speed bump for some of these other drivers because he's on such heavy fuel and slow tyres put together. So let's go through and see. Oh, I think RSA is going to be coming in at the end of this lap. RSA is going to have to put on the medium tyres for his final stint. So that is another thing to contend with. Pumpkin Patch already in the pits. So these guys went aggressive with their strategy, wanted to build a lead, which RSA has done, but he is going to have to overtake Fluffy Butt on the same tyre compound, albeit far newer than what Fluffy Butts will be by the end of the race. It is not going to be straightforward for him. Ben also is going to have to do the final stint on mediums. Fluffy Butt, as we know, up into P3 now with those pit stops, is going to just continue on these mediums. Otto is going to strap on another set of softs. Then we got Wesley, who's got he's going to do his last stint on softs. Same for Claus, who's fallen back from Wesley a little bit. Nominic's going to be doing his last one on softs. Steve's just going to stay out, and he's starting to catch Nominic again now as the tyres start to come to him. Pumpkin Patch is going to come out in P10, so at the moment guaranteed points as long as he doesn't put a foot wrong, but he should overtake a lot of these drivers when they start to come into the pits. So let's join RSA at the front. Let's see. Oh, hits the wall a little bit there on the left. He's going to surely come out behind Fluffy Butt when he comes into the pits, but let's see what happens with him. He's definitely coming in. Let's see what Ben is going to do as well. I'm expecting Ben to come in as well. I think he potentially has one more lap in him on those on that fuel. Not sure if he'll fancy it on the tyres though. He did set a 52 on the previous lap, so not very quick at all there for Ben. He's coming in as well. So let's join Fluffy, who is gonna inherit the race lead. Surely he's got a 24-second lead over RSA as it stands. Yep, RSA still putting in fuel at the moment. He's going over 50%, over 60%, up into the 70s. How much fuel is he putting in? 82% of his fuel. That is massive. And that's going to put RSA all the way down into P5 now. Just ahead of Steve. Really heavy fuel tank. I'm not sure that amount is necessary. I know if you're revving out the Toyota that you absolutely gobble up the fuel, but revving out the Toyota is not what is needed. You can go at around about 60-70%. Let's see where he is upshifting. It looks like he's upshifting very low. Yeah, I don't know why is that much fuel necessary for 17 laps. Very confused there. he might have just shot himself in the foot with this fuel. It's going to be weighing down his car compared to Fluffy Butts. And he's got 8.9 seconds to catch up. All these other guys should be coming in fairly soon. Let's join with Auto, who has caught up once again to Fluffy Butt. So maybe Fluffy Butt's had a bit of a mistake somewhere, because he's dropped about a second on Auto. Auto looks like he's going fairly quick still. Expecting to see... Well, actually, he doesn't have to even come into the pits yet. He's decided to stay out and continue. What about Wesley? Wesley's got plenty of fuel. I think he's going to do a very late pit stop. Claws, oof, fairly wide there. Going to carry on. Nominet's going to carry on as well. So, potentially a problem for GT RSA here if he catches up to Nominec and can't get a move done. Got Steve hitting the wall on the exit. Still only 1 second behind GTRSA, and then Eroticos up into 8th. Still got half a tank left. Not sure half a tank is going to get him to the end. Ben all the way down in 9th. He put in loads of fuel as well on his BMW. So potentially 86-ish% is what some of these cars need to make it to the end. How much fuel does Fluffy have? Let's have a look. Fluffy maybe has 60% left, so a lot less, and it's making me wonder if this is, if he's going to make it to the end, to be honest. 16 laps? I think he could. Is Auto getting held up here? Should Auto maybe have thought about pitting? Yeah, a little bit of traction lost there from Auto allows Fluffy but a little bit more breathing room. Got to say, Fluffy is driving very composed at the moment. He's really doing pretty well in this race, the complete opposite to last week. And yep, Auto is carrying on again. Whoa, Claws absolutely power sliding through that corner. And he's starting to get reeled in. We've got a bit of a queue forming behind Claws here in the battle for P4. Dominic might be feeling a bit hungry here. He's got a little bit less fuel on board than Claws as well. So I think the advantage here is with Dominic if he can get a good exit onto the back straight, basically. Unless Claws makes a bit of a mistake through the opening turns. Dirty Air must be horrible through turn 1 and 2. Yeah, Dominic had to back out a little bit to make sure he didn't go off track there, but only lost a couple of tenths to Claws in that. Now this is where he needs to really catch up. He needs to be within about half a second as we exit the tunnel. And he is almost half a second, but Claws gets a much better exit than him. And actually RSA is closer to Dominic than Dominic is to Claws now. And we know this GR Supra loves the straight line. Look how he's closing in the gap. There is a move definitely on for RSA here. Is he going to go for it? No, he decides to back out. Oh, but Dominic goes a little bit wide on the exit there. And that's just pretty much gifted the position to RSA. Dominic's going to try and hold on to it. Oh, no. And he just, oh my god. Oh my god. This is the moment that I need to see a replay of. That was shocking. Has RSA lost his opportunity to get the race win with that? It looks like he was completely wiped out there. That was bad. He's dropped a position to Eroticos as well, and to Steve. So good news for Steve. Steve all the way up into P6 now, really close behind Dominic. Dominic is going to have to pit. Looks like Wesley's got past Auto Ration somewhere. Wesley has just taken the lead into turn 1. not the lead, taken P2 off Auto. So Wesley absolutely flying on these medium tyres at the moment. Auto's tyres are pretty much dying, it looks like. He's still lapping in the 51s. Wesley's lapping in the low 50s though at the moment, which is pretty solid time on those mediums. So Wesley's got a chance of getting a really good finish here. I'm pretty sure he's going to have to pit pretty quickly for a stop. So advantage massively to Fluffy Butt here because Wesley has to pit, Auto has to pit, Claus has to pit, Nominic has to pit. The next driver up, 11 seconds back, is his teammate Steve. Fluffy Butt and Steve in Burns and Groove. So that is, and yeah, RSA is still a net P3 with the pit stops, but he's going to have to, I don't know, I don't think he's got enough in him to catch 15 seconds. He could catch Steve, for sure. His medium tyres are better than Steve's, and he does have the pace advantage. He will be screaming, I'm sure, at the moment, into the void, because what just happened right here a lap ago. You can even see the tyre marks all over the track from where these cars were, all over the place, spinning around. His car will have taken about a whole lap to recover from that as well. So yeah, potential penalty there coming for Nominic, but also half-second penalty for Ben here. Cut one of the corners, and yeah, his progress, he's 11 seconds behind RSA now after all those troubles. Still a long way behind him. That's how dominant RSA has been so far in this race. And there we go, a half-second penalty for Ben. It's going to allow Pumpkin Patch to try and catch up. Pumpkin Patch has made his final stop onto the mediums as well, down to 10th. Got plenty of fuel in the tank as well. Lapping in the 51s on those mediums. Going to try and get an undercut on some of these people. Outside chance for, well, he's got a good chance of a top 5. Outside chance of a podium if things go wrong towards the end of the race. Fluffy Butt now with a 4/10 of a second lead on Wesley. So how hard is he going to fight this heading through the tunnel? He is going on the inside. Fluffy Butt, Wesley is slightly ahead. Fluffy Butt's got the inside line for the corner. They both make it round. Looks like Fluffy Butt got a better exit, but Wesley is hanging it in there. Wesley slightly ahead as we go around that corner and wins out in the end and takes the race lead. Good bit of overtaking there. Good racing by both of them, to be honest, as we head down to the final few moments. But crucially, Wesley's got far less fuel. He is going to have to make a pit stop again. So it's not the end of the world for Fluffy Butt, because Wesley is making another stop. Fluffy Butt looks like he is going to the end on these. Auto is in the pits finally off of his soft tyres. I wonder where that he'll come out. I have a feeling it'll be behind Ben and behind Pumpkin Patch, so down to around about 10th. Looks like everyone else is carrying on for now. RSA has caught up to Steve very quickly there. And yeah, RSA is absolutely on fire. Lapping in the 50s again. He's up to P7 now. Eroticos. What's happened to Eroticos? Nothing, I don't think. I think Eroticos was between RSA and Steve the whole time, and my game was playing a little trick on me. Or maybe my eyes, I don't know. But yeah, pretty solid from Steve, up into the top 5. It'll turn into top 2 actually. So Kavar really on a charge in this feature race. In this, it's not a feature race. Every race is a feature race. But he's under a bit of pressure now from Eroticos, and Eroticos on lower fuel. I think Eroticos will have to pit again. It's really difficult to tell. Got half a second on Steve. Steve is in, what car is that? Let's have a look. Steve's in the Porsche with, oh, and Eroticos has absolutely sent it, and he goes wide on the exit. Steve's got the chance for the switchback, and he gets that position back with ease. Good little bit of opportunism for Eroticos. He had to go for it, but Steve was wise to it and said, yeah, thanks, but I'll just take that back, thank you. Now that's allowed RSA to really close the gap onto Eroticos. He should be ahead of both of these guys, but he's got a little bit of work to do to get his positions back. Claws in the pits, by the way. That promotes Dominic into third. And is RSA going to have a good exit? It looks like Eroticos grazed the barriers. He is closing the gap. It's less than a quarter of a second, the gap now. Is he going to have enough to chuck it into turn one? The problem is the straight is quite short and he has to back out of it. Gives Steve a bit of breathing room in P4. Let's see what happens with Claus. Autoration out in P10, so he did come out 4 seconds behind Pumpkin Patch. Claus is going to come out behind him as well. He might be... yeah, there goes Autoration, so a comfortable P10 for Claus. So looks like quite a big gap between P10 and 11 Birdsy there, and Kenny in 13th. Looks like, was it Reaper? Maybe had a disconnect or a rage quit potentially, not quite sure what happened there. Didn't see when he left either. So that's no points for a DNF. And, well, outside the top 15 anyway. Here we go, Eroticos has another chance to get Steve here. This time he has much more speed going in and the inside line. Now he just has to make sure he takes the corner and the exit well enough. RSA queuing up behind Steve to try and get past. Eroticos does make it. Wesley up in P1. Is he going to make his pit stop? He's got a few more laps in him at least. He's got a 6-second lead over Fluffy Butt. Fluffy Butt had an absolute nightmare there on the previous lap, setting a 54 flat when Wesley was in the high 50s. So that is why he's 5.8 seconds down. But it's not a massive drama for him at this stage of the race. One mistake is allowed, I think. Oh, here we go. Eroticos around the outside of Steve into the chicane and gets it on the exit. And Steve hits the wall. He does have a good run on Eroticos. RSA's here for some fun as well. Are we going to go 3 wide into turn 1? It wouldn't be advisable. RSA decides to give Eroticos a bump draft. Steve, I think, has decided to completely back out of it and focus on his own strategy, which is making it to the end. These guys both have to pit another time. And RSA is going to take Eroticos, who goes really wide on the exit of turn 3. And it's a really fortunate couple of corners. Now he's got 8.8 seconds to Fluffy Butt. Can he do it? He's got to be a second a lap quicker than Fluffy Butt. And he will catch him before the end of the race. The pressure is massively on Fluffy Butt at the moment. The race leader, 8.5 seconds is the gap. 10 laps to go. Can he do it? That's the question. If he can pull this off, this is a fantastic bit of strategy from Fluffy Butt. Also aided by that unfortunate spin that RSA suffered, but RSA really closing the gap on the straight there. Now it's 8.1 seconds. He's pretty much closed 3/10 on the straight. Looks like he's lost it in the... Actually, he hasn't lost it. He just had a slower entry compared to Fluffy Butt. The gap is under 8 seconds now. Wesley in the pits finally. Gone very long there. Eroticos I'm expecting to come in fairly soon because of the tyres more so than the fuel. Oh, Eroticos nearly lost it completely trying to maneuver his car to get it go into the pits. Ben is going to be the next person to round this corner. Let's see how far away from Steve he is now when it shows that he overtakes Eroticos. He should get Eroticos and Wesley quite comfortably here, I think. So up to P4 for Ben. 8.6 off of Steve. RSA is now 7.4 off of Fluffy Butt with a really scary looking turn 1 and 2. He manages to keep it on the track though. And Wesley comes out just behind Ben, actually. And he's on soft tyres when Ben's on medium, so this is a great opportunity for Wesley to get up into P4. He should definitely be catching Ben, as long as he doesn't do that too often. Pumpkin Patch now in P6, now that everything is finally shuffling out. Auto in P7 just ahead of Claus. So this is Falcon versus Panthera. Panthera being Auto's team. Both of them on soft tyres. Claus is a couple of tiers higher than Auto on Mondays though. So you would expect Claus to get Auto. They were both in tier 3 last season. Claus won. Auto actually won, I think, one race as well, but otherwise kind of struggled that season. Showing much better form in eSports though. Then we got Nominic in P9 and Eroticos rounding out the top 10 with a 17-second gap back to P11, so looking fairly good. But here is Claus considering a move on Auto. Auto leaves the door open. This was the battle for P4 earlier in the race. They've both been shuffled down a little bit. Also wins that battle on the exit with the great traction that Renault has, and he might be a pain in the side for Claus for the rest of this race. A little bit further up, Wesley is putting some pressure now on Ben, but at the front the gap is down to 6.6, so the win is still on for RSA despite that big incident that he had in the middle of the race with Nominic. He still has an absolutely fantastic chance of getting the race win here. Steve only 2.7 behind RSA as well, so he's closing the gap to his teammate as well, feeling a lot more confident at this stage of the race. Last 2 laps Fluffy Butt were in the 52s compared to the 51s for RSA, and a 54 for Steve when he was battling some of those drivers, and then a 51 as well. So still lapping pretty quick, I reckon, if you manage the 51s. Ben is just being nudged out of the way there from Wesley. He's flashing his lights. He's not happy about that at all. Let's see if Wesley decides to give that position back on the straight. Wesley's just driving away from him already, so I don't think he'd be minded, because if you got a 5 second, I think you can stretch 5 seconds on Ben towards, well, for the rest of the race with those really fresh soft tyres compared to Ben's slightly worn mediums. Pumpkin Patch also on the mediums, Auto on the softs. Could chase down Pumpkin as long as he doesn't get involved in too much drama with Claus. Claus is still very, very close here. And he manages to upshift to 6th before revving out. The McLaren does lose loads of speed in 6th gear though. It's a very bad car for 6th. Meanwhile, Auto has 7 gears on that Renault. Gets up to 7th very quickly as well, to be honest, compared to some of the other 7 gear cars in Group 3. But yeah, defending pretty well, driving very well at the moment. Auto gonna haul some decent points for Panthera. Oh, just as I say that, he goes off the track a little bit. Claus is gonna close in slightly. And Auto completely misses the turn in, having to go side by side on the final corner of the track, and they make a little bit of contact as Claus lost traction on the exit, but still gets that position anyway. Claus is going to have to tuck in behind him. Is he going to try and overtake? He really has to try it. Claus is going to defend the inside though. Auto's not going to be able to do it around the outside. Always impossible. He's going to have to try and cut in and hope Claus overshoots, which he doesn't. Some really composed driving. Now Nominic's in here for company as well. He's going to try and chuck it down the inside potentially. No, he backs out of it here. Still P7 up for grabs for Nominic as well. See, there's still some fairly even gaps between the top 3 looking at the minimap, so I'm just going to keep an eye on that to see if it closes, because I think we might have a little fight for the win on the final couple of laps. Anyway, a really good exit there from Auto compared to Claus. Let's ride on board with Claus and see how this goes through the tunnel. Claus already going incredibly defensive. Auto's going to have to do it around the outside once again. Nominic, and there's another driver joining behind as well. Let's join on board with Nominic. It's Eroticos who fancies potentially a P10. So Claus going defensive. Auto has the overspeed around the outside. Claus looks like he gets a better exit, and they're still side by side going through this corner. This is going to be really hairy between the two of them. Fluffy Butt has come into the pits. I did not expect that. So Fluffy Butt absolutely chucking away his chance of winning. Maybe he just didn't have the fuel to do it, or the tyres. This is going to be interesting. And now In all that, Nominic overtook Autoration. Autoration went wide whilst battling with Claws, and now he's going to have to go defensive with the Roticos, who absolutely sends it down the inside and gets up to P9. Oh, just manages to miss Nominic with the awkward angle of taking that final corner. It's going to allow Autoration to get back past. Auto having an absolute nightmare lap here. Still managed at 52 in all this. So these guys not actually losing that much time with all this battling that they've got going on. And Auto's going to have to tuck in behind Eroticos for now. Nominic now probably fancies his chances of getting up into P7 with this. Let's see what the front situation looks like. Let's just recap. RSA has inherited a 5-second lead because of Fluffybutt's late pit stop. Steve having a great second race here, up into P2 at the moment. He's 1.8 ahead of Wesley, who's on very fresh softs. We'll be chasing him down for the rest of the race. Ben will get some solid points for Arix. He does have the fastest lap as well, so that'd be 8 points that he would contribute. So not the worst. Pumpkin Patch in 5th place, fairly solid as well. He's doing well to keep up with Ben, it's got to be said. They've been pretty close all race long. Fluffybutt on his softs will be chasing a top 4. He's not that far behind Pumpkin Patch, 1.8 seconds at the moment. He just has to, well, he's going to have a huge tyre advantage over everyone ahead of him. Just unfortunate that he had to come in and make that final pit stop. I'm guessing it was the tyres. And then there's a 4-second gap ahead of Claws. Nominic still putting pressure on him, but hasn't managed to get that close. They are on the same tyres, the soft tyres. Claws goes very wide into the entry of the hairpin. It's going to give Nominic a great chance if he gets a good exit to have a run on Claws. Claws hits the wall. It's going to be made super easy for Nominic. Nominic's going to sweep past here and take P7. Bit of a disaster there for Claws. Then we got Eroticos, and Auto's actually falling off the back of them now. So it looks like Auto might have to settle for P10 as it stands. Claws really isn't letting Nominic have any breathing space here though. So we have 5 laps left. Everyone should have made their final stops. Steve is on an amazing one stop. He has just lost P2 to Wesley, unfortunately. I missed that. But he does have enough in him to make the end of the race. He's got a 6.9 second gap on MK, who is also on mediums. Fairly similarly worn, actually. So Steve is the tyre whisperer, it looks like. And he isn't really getting caught by Ben at the moment. Ben's caught up 1/10 since we started watching this battle. Fluffy is now 2 seconds behind Ben. He's managed to get past Pumpkin Patch. He's got a great chance of still getting a top 4 here, which is going to be a big points haul for Kavar. Two of the drivers into the top 4 in Lobby B. It's going to be a good points haul for Pegasus winning this and also participating in Lobby A and also being in P6. So 3 decent points hauls for Pegasus. Arix with Ben in P4 currently, potentially a P3 if he can catch Steve. Depends how the tyres last and also how he manages to cope with the challenge of Fluffybutt, who's really closing the gap. Let's ride on board with Fluffybutt. This is our pole sitter. It is the guy who I thought was going to win until he decided to make that pit stop. Most improved driver of the week, definitely, it's got to be said. And he's now only a second behind Ben. He managed to close 6/10 in that opening tight and twisty section of the track with these really fresh soft tyres. Pushing absolutely flat out now as well. Ben is on almost half-worn mediums. So now Fluffy should be able to close the gap even more through this second really tight and twisty section of the track. Not as many corners as the first part. Fluffy is probably going for the fastest lap now as well. Oh, that was perfect exit. You know it's good exit when you hear those rumble strips and there's a wall right next to you. And again, a really good exit. Now the gap is only 0.6 of a second. Stays in second through there. Interesting. And the gap is just dipping under 0.6. He does set the fastest lap of the race for him, but Wesley has actually just set the quickest lap of all with a 49.1. Very good lap there from Wesley. Half-second penalty for Fluffy. That is a nightmare. That is going to stop his progress massively. Ben is only 2.8 behind Steve now. Steve's previous lap was a 54, so struggling on these last 3 laps is Steve. He's a second down already on his best time around sector 1. Kind of expected though. So Ben is going to have, well, I thought he was going to have some breathing space, but here comes Fluffy. There's a little bit of contact through the corner. Ben is really wide, actually hits the wall. Fluffy backs out completely there. Recognizes he made that mistake, but that has helped out Steve massively. The gap has increased now to 3.7 seconds. So I wonder if that was a little bit of teamwork going on there between the Cavar boys to protect that podium for Steve. I'm not sure. I think Fluffy Butt just sent it, and then there was a little coming together. Lost 3 seconds compared to his previous lap already because of it though. He's going to lose more when he gets this half-second penalty. Should be enough to keep himself ahead of Pumpkin Patch, who's 1.5 down though. A little bit further up, the gap between Wesley and RSA has shrunk massively. So RSA on these medium tyres really struggling at the end of the race. His previous lap was a 50.6. This one is going to be a 51.4. Meanwhile, a 49.8 followed the fastest lap that he just set. Wesley is on for the win here. I thought that it was done and dusted again, and again I've been proven wrong, because Wesley, with 3 laps left, is only 1.4 seconds behind on optimal tyres. They are starting to wear a little bit, but not enough for the pace advantage to be gone, especially when RSAs are equally worn, but they are medium tyres. Javi and Slimmer struggling in the other lobby. Okay. On the same one-stop strategy, I'm guessing. So Steve could end up being caught here. He's got very, very low fuel. He's got very low fuel. This might be a problem for him. Fluffy Butt has already caught back up to Ben as well. So let's stick with this little battle, because the RSA still has a bit of a lead at the moment. Really good exit there from Fluffy Butt. He's going to have a run for sure on the BMW, once you get up into the high 5th gears, isn't that fast, and I think the Alpha is showing that it does have a little bit more speed. Fluffy Butt absolutely going for it. He's going to nail the apex, and he's very, very close to Steve now. So I wonder how Cavar are going to play this out for the rest of the race, because Fluffy has the pace to overtake Steve and just finish a comfortable 3rd by the looks of it, but he could also act as a cushion between Steve and Ben and keep Ben behind with his superior tyres. Let's see what happens here. We might see yeah, it looks like he's going to go for it. No, he doesn't actually. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. Door looked like it was being left open for Fluffy, but it got shut very quickly. I'm sure they know what they're doing in the party chat. Now he's definitely got a run on Steve. And he doesn't opt for the bump draft. Ben is too far behind to get the position, so it looks like Steve has the fight of his life on his hands to consolidate P4. Fluffy Butt's still going to get a podium despite having to pit late. Wesley, meanwhile, only 7/10 behind RSA. This opportunity is going to arise on the straight here. Looks like Ben has got past Steve, by the way, on the entry into the tunnel. So So that'll have been a very late break from Ben, and Steve looks like he's super struggling on these tyres. Pumpkin Patch might even get through, but let's join this battle at the front. There's a half-second gap between Wesley and RSA at the moment. So RSA getting a pretty decent exit from that previous corner. Just 1.5 laps to go. And nothing he can do at the moment. Pumpkin Patch is gonna get past Steve though. Very easy overtake for Steve. Obviously lost a bit of traction again on the exit. Nominic is the next person to try and get a move on. Steve dropping like a stone now. So this is proving that Fluffy had the right idea in pitting, because he's up into 3rd and Steve was there and he's down into 7th now. And maybe Orotikos can catch him as well. We'll have to wait and see. This is struggling for him. Now let's join the battle for P1. RSA only 0.4 of a second ahead of Wesley now. Wesley got so much traction on that exit. He's going to have to do it. This is the last lap. We have 2 drivers neck and neck for the race lead. He's going to have to tuck in behind because that GR Supra is really quick in a straight line. Wesley's not going to be able to do it into turn 1. And RSA keeps the position for now. There's Wesley hunting him down. The gap is back up to half a second, but Wesley's so much stronger through that section with those soft tyres. He has to get super close as we head into the tunnel, because this will probably be his final chance to get the race win. And here we go. What is the gap? They both managed to avoid the wall. It's less than 3/10. It's less than 2/10. RSA going defensive. Now here's where the Toyota's time. Wesley's going to try and go on the inside. He's got absolutely no angle to work with here. He's going to send it. RSA turns into him slightly. He actually makes the corner. Wesley somehow gets the lead of the race on the tightest of angles that you're ever going to see. That is a fantastic overtake for Wesley, and the most important one of the race by far. He is on course to take the win in Lobby B, V2's first win in, not V2, Panthera's first win in ALR after a season and a quarter, and it's going to go to Wesley as long as he can make these final 2 corners. And finishing on the softs proving it to be the right strategy there. And he's going to round the final corner. He's got the fastest lap. He's going to take 13 points home for Panthera. Absolutely fantastic win for Wesley. It's really solid P2 for RSA. Heartbreaking that he lost it on the final corner. Potentially would have won without that incident. Fluffy, but only 12 seconds down after making that very late pit stop. Very solid result for Fluffy. And Ben, again, equally solid in P4. Nominic, after his issues at the start, recovers for a solid P5. Pumpkin Patch P6. Steve is 7th in the end, just ahead of Orotikos. And then for the final 2 spots in the top 10, it's going to be Auto Ration. And getting a single point for Falcon, it is going to be Claus. Unfortunate for Falcon, only getting 1 point today. The lowest last week was 10. Burnsy Poo on his debut, having to jump in as a very, very late sub, is going to be, I think you can be fairly pleased with that. P11, quite a way off of everyone else. Here we go. P11 for Burnsy Poo, well done mate. Under difficult circumstances, Clemson is trying to battle for honour here. No points at stake. He is on very worn mediums and just gets overtaken fairly easily there because he's out of fuel. Kenny's going to take P12 on his debut, and Clemson unfortunately runs out of fuel right at the end and is going to be last of the finishers. DNF for Reaper Dude and DNS for Ryoki. So that's your lot. Thanks for watching, guys. Here is the results. So feel free to pause. I'm gonna jump off now and do the standings and distribute them. Thanks for watching. It was an interesting one, jumping in last minute, but I think we managed to sort it pretty well. Yeah, and then next week is round 3, so halfway point of the first stage of the season after that one. So it's going pretty quickly. Really keen to see what happens with the standings after this, but yeah.